guys, Riley with BEM Team Racing. We're back with Off the Dirt, and I'd like to welcome, first off, Dom is with us today with BEM Team Racing. Also, our special guest, Scotty Sanville of Sanville Racing. Thank you for joining us today.
Absolutely.
So, before we jump into it with Scotty, I've got a little bit of Off the Dirt news coming in that I've got to cover. Doing this on my phone, so I'm sorry about this. We did have a message in from Mackenzie Jones that I missed on the live feed. She was messaging in about Get Her Done, that she enjoyed the track, that it was very welcoming and very friendly. This was her first track she raced at the age of 11 in the youth class. And she has a lot of memories racing. I don't know if any of us remember her. It may have been before us.
I don't think so. Yeah, it doesn't ring a bell.
Yeah. But, yeah, it was a great track and definitely a lot of memories. Fortunately, we don't have that track anymore. We're going to get into that a lot later on in the show. But I just wanted to give Mackenzie her shout out because, again, I apologize. I did not get to that one when it came through. Later on, we're going to see how good my editing works because I'm going to be trying to put some pictures in here on the video. So we're going to see how this goes. I got a shout out. Rick and Barbara Austin, who was on our last show, messaged me in. I'm going to try and put the picture up probably somewhere down here. We'll see how that goes, or take up the whole thing. I don't know. Congratulations to Rick Austin. He won Best of Show in the Lightning Fours at Riverside Speedway. Congratulations to you. Very good looking car. Like I said, I'm going to try and get this up on the screen so everyone will be able to see it. Very good looking Celica. And little off topic, but I don't care. I'm for anything. We had Gary Pierce message in. Just wanted to show off that his mud truck, it's a very spectacular build. I'll put the picture of that up. Thank you, Gary, for sending that one in. Appreciate it. So that's catching up with what news we have. If you have any racing news that you would like to make public, send it in to me. Send your pictures, and I will continue Off the Dirt with news feeds. Any pictures, anything you want to send in, I'll put it out there. So, Scotty, getting into you now. Hot seat. It's a great thing.
Oh, yeah.
So where did racing start for you?
Racing started for me when I was very young. More or less started out hanging out with a friend of my dad's. We lived in Florida, and he had a friend that he worked with at the tire shop who raced street stock down there at a place called Sunshine Speedway.
Okay.
And he would always let me hang out in the car. He would take pictures with me if he wanted to race, let me hold the flag. Just really kind of opened his arms up and just tried to get me into it. And it worked. I didn't realize it so much at the time as to later in life. I think back about that a lot. And actually just got in contact with that guy probably about 3 to 4 months ago. Finally dug him up on Facebook, and we've been chatting here and there since. And he's still very into racing, has a very massive race shop.
Oh, no kidding.
Runs probably 4 to 5 cars. He's got some nephews and son and such things, So anyways, that's where it all started. And then when we moved up here, as we know, Steve Ratcliffe is my uncle.
Yep.
And then I grew up in Starks. There's not a lot to do, but there was always a race car to work on in Uncle Steven's garage. So I spent lots of late nights doing a whole lot of, puffing rivets and whatever.
Cars there.
Yeah. It used to get me to crawl in, put the washers on the back window because he couldn't fit in there. So he'd get me to crawl.
Put the small guy in.
Yeah, put the little fella in there. Yeah. And then I just kind of grew a love for it, and then I did a little bit of teen racing at Get Her Done.
Yep.
I don't think it lasted too crazy long, but I did have a couple trophies from there when I was pretty young. Till my car broke, and then Dad couldn't afford another one, so that kind of killed that. And then it just kind of took off from there.
Now, did you race back when it was also known as Boondocks back then? Because they went through some name changes.
Correct. To be honest, I don't remember. I'm pretty sure it was Get Her Done. But I'm not 100% sure.
Because since my wife is so wonderfully recording today...
I think they changed it
No, I
back to
think
get
they
her done.
changed the Get Her Done because I think they were the last ones before it went hiatus in 23.
Yep. Yeah, I don't know.
If anyone is watching this that has owned the track and want to correct in the comments, please let us know. We don't want to falsify information. Just,
Yeah, fill us in.
yes, if you have the information, please comment it. And next video, I will correct myself for any mistakes that we make. But yeah, Bam and Spud, they raced it back when it was Boondocks in.
I was born in 10.
Yeah, 11, 12. That was back when it was Boondocks.
You know, it might have been Boondocks when I was there then, because that would have been right around there, maybe 2013, 14 maybe,
Okay.
somewhere in there. Yep.
Yeah, so sometime after that, because I know Get Her Done, Boondocks, they did the change and they were kind of like an off and on race track, I guess. Not as, like, not like Unity or anything with a state
With
schedule.
a constant schedule. Yeah, I
Right.
think they were kind of broken up. I don't really remember exactly what the schedule was back then.
Yeah, because I know Spud would sporadically race every once in a while when he did have a car. That was 17, somewhere in that time period.
Yep.
Because Spud was off and on racing there a few times when he could.
Yep.
His last race that he did there was in 22 before it got fully shut down. He did the last race. I don't know if you were there for in 22. They did the very last race for Get It Done and got shut down.
Yeah.
After that, because they had they were supposed to do a big 50 lapper that day. Unfortunately, they didn't have a water truck.
When Hannah was running it, that was 23.
No, that was before Hannah. This is flat. That was the Scion.
Oh yeah, that's
We
right.
had the Scion going to 22 because Spud was doing a partial schedule with Unity.
Yep.
At the tail end of the season.
Oh, okay. Yep.
Were you racing Unity?
Nope.
Okay.
Nope.
So Spud raced Unity's fall schedule until it finally snowed, and then we heard Get Her Done was doing one more race, so we ended up racing there as well. They were trying to do a big 50 lapper to end the season. Yep. Unfortunately, no water truck. You couldn't see anything. It was so bad.
No, the dust is difficult, and actually, unfortunately, that was one of the things we had talked about this year for Get Her Done was red lights, because I do think that's very good.
Yes.
It's very hard to race to your full potential. It's not so much the dust that bothers me. I need to know where the next guy is.
Exactly.
And if you can at least see a little, even a dim red light, you're like, all right, somebody's there. So, And
especially like running night tracks.
Yes.
When you can't see anything because, we go fast around that track. When it's dark and it's dusty, you can't see anything.
No.
And that's scary.
And there's nothing like, like coming out of the corner and you just baby it because you want to be wide open, but you don't dare to because you don't know if somebody's there or not.
Right, because you're one dust storm from possible fatality of flipping your car.
Yeah.
And that's the one thing that all of us racers always do to avoid, try to avoid. We don't want to get into an accident or cause an altercation with someone and then all of a sudden they're against you like you did something wrong.
Yeah, exactly. And especially when it's a complete accident, some people get that and some drivers, don't. So
right. It all depends who you're racing against.
It does.
And that's been all of our cars. I've been outfitting all of them with red lights because, yes, I agree with the full safety thing because even in the daylight, you can see a red light right in front of you in the daytime.
Oh, yeah, agreed.
As long as it's bright enough.
And honestly, it doesn't even have to be red, green, blue,
Anything.
Any decent color, pink. Really, purple. It really doesn't matter.
As long as it's an emitting color that warns the driver that you're coming into the corner, and all of a sudden you see that light, someone's there.
Right. Yeah.
As long as you don't rear-end them.
Exactly, and that's the thing you're trying to avoid.
Right, and it's it's just good because track conditions are hard. It's hard for the the track, all of the track owners of any dirt track. It's hard for them to keep the track, perfect all the time. So you'd love it, all bite and no dust, but it just doesn't happen that way. So
right,
a simple light is a good fix to if it gets dusty in the middle of a race. We can finish a race without having to shut it down, water the track, and then the rest of the race isn't the same for anybody because you just changed track conditions. you know,
Yeah.
And it's like
completely.
we say, dirt track, every lap changes. Not every single lap is always going to be the same when those craters start appearing.
Right.
And we know how them craters are. Whether it's
Yeah.
Unity or Get Her Done, we watch those craters just open up in those corners.
Yeah.
Don't forget the rocks.
And the rocks, oh yeah. You start kicking up those rocks.
Yep.
But
I had a question for Scotty. How many years have you been racing roughly?
Not that many actually. Probably I only have like a combined maybe 5 years of racing. Actually solid racing.
so 23 23 20 when did you race Unity?
So I started I believe would have been the tail end of 23.
Okay.
Yep. I think is that when they opened back up or was it
23 was the full schedule of Unity.
Yes, okay, yeah, because when I first got back into it, I actually didn't start a Unity. The car I had built, Steve and I actually run 3 or 4 races up to Speedway 95.
Okay.
And then for whatever reason, we decided to. He talked to me. He's like, "Hey, let's go try dirt." And I was like, "Yeah, all right. Well, I wouldn't mind going back to the dirt." So we started racing a Unity. It was a little more cheaper,
Mm-hmm.
at the time. So
Right.
that helped. I was going through a lot, and money was pretty tight. So
Right.
if I, and nothing against it, the hot top tracks, but it takes a little more money to race there. So at the
Mhm.
time, it was more cost efficient, and it allowed me to keep racing.
Right.
You know,
Dirt also ends up being a more controlled atmosphere because you figure we can't get to the high speeds on dirt like you can on tar.
No, not really. Not unless it's a real good night. If the conditions are good, kind of when you hear the tires squealing on the dirt is when the track's pretty well at its best.
Oh yeah.
In my opinion.
I know on average my Civic has seen around 65 in the straightaways. I know
Yeah.
that's what I've seen. I know the Scones; those guys were hitting about 100 on the dirt.
Those guys, yeah, they're moving. They're impressive.
Oh, yeah.
I would definitely like to wheel one of those someday. I don't know if I'd ever own
be
one,
fun.
but I would love to just try one. I mean, that looks fun.
Well, I can tell you when you're watching them race, you're not looking left where you're looking right as they're passing because the dust storm them boys kick up.
Yeah.
You're not looking into it unless you've got a pair of goggles on so you can actually see them through the dirt. Because, I mean, they kicked up a storm.
Right.
But those guys are amazing what they can do. I mean, it is horrific when one of them has a wreck because there's no control.
Yeah.
No.
There's no control with those cars. Those guys are all throttle or dead stop.
Yeah. Yeah. True. Yeah, because they're all direct drive. So,
Yeah.
which I've always found it interesting that they set them up that way, and I've always wondered why, but I don't know. I don't know enough about them to,
You're just
No.
running on full RPM at that point.
Yep.
I mean, one single final drive is all you get. But the way those guys spool those up, and we've seen them come out of the corners on 2 wheels,
Uh-huh.
that's amazing. It still hold the track.
Well, I think that's the, great big fat wide back tires. I
Oh,
mean,
that
they seem
definitely
they
helps.
seem to stay planted well.
We're not buying you one.
No, I was gonna say eventually, once I get more racing experience, I want to get a 4-cylinder rear-wheel drive.
We'll talk about them when we start coming into some good sponsorship money. Because I tell you what, I'd like to dabble in Pro 4s, but of course the biggest cost you have in Pro 4s is always those tires.
It
That
is, yeah,
and-
and that's another reason I've wanted to stay away from hot top a little bit. It's not that I have anything against hot top, but I think dirt is a little more. I think it takes a little more skill to drive on dirt, and I'm sure there'll be plenty of guys that argue that point. But
Oh, I'm sure.
in
Yeah.
my opinion, I think it takes more skill to drive, on dirt. The way that, especially, as moving up to the street stock class, I have no doubt I have a lot to learn.
Oh yeah.
I probably don't see myself being competitive for maybe the first half of the year. That's not really my goal. My goal will be to get out there,
Right.
make sure the car feels good, and slowly get it to plantar feet, and
Yeah.
then see where we can go with it.
Yeah. You just can't go all in when you're going into unknown waters at that point.
Right.
You know. It's sinking yourself into it. It's just like when I got into racing. Racing for me started in 23. I had no idea. When I'd start a heat race, I didn't care if I ended up in the back. I just wanted to see if I could survive. You know?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like if I'm going to get into anything, let me get into fast fours where there's less of a car count.
Yes.
And
Yep.
I felt more comfortable doing that, and that's why I told Spud, get into Fast Fours with me. You got less of a car count. It's a totally different setup. You can do a lot more than you can. Let's try that. And it actually worked out for him and I. You know, we had a decent first season as a team. I mean, yes, you won more than us.
Well, the main reason she won more is because the Cobalt kept breaking spindles every lap, pretty much.
Yeah, we don't talk about the Cobalt anymore.
Well, so it's funny you say that because I ran that Saturn Ion and I actually really liked that car. I'm a fan of the 22 Ecotech.
Yep.
I had some things I had planned to do to that car and see if I could bump it up to Fast 4, but because those 22s respond well to, there's a lot of easy power upgrades, you know. You can
Oh,
go,
yeah.
balance shaft delete, there's another 1,000 RPMs. I mean, there's very simple things you can do to wake them up a lot, but the front end of that thing would not hold together. And about the fourth week in a row that I broke it, I was like, I'm done. This thing is not coming back here.
Unity's too rough for it.
Yeah, and well, it was, and they have a weak front end anyway.
Yeah,
I guess
it's that constant pressure on those aluminum spindles that they kept breaking.
Yeah, so I kept ripping CV
these
shafts
ones.
out, and like the lower control arms had too much flex, and they would allow to like push back, and then
Yeah.
CV shaft would pop out, or I'd break a knuckle, or and Steve kind of laughed at me because I get towed in again, and he's kind of looking at me, and I said, "That's it. This car's done. I'm not bringing it back here." And he was like, "Well," he says to me, he says, "Well, go out." Come to the house and go out back and get my old Honda, and you can just use it, and then we'll go from there. And then he had forgotten that he had, I think, robbed the motor out of that one, so he was like, "That's not gonna work."
Never mind.
Here's the car. Go ahead. Best of luck to you. Fred Flintstone it.
Yeah. So we discovered that wasn't gonna work out, and then he had a few, so he made me a deal. Said, "I'll sell you one," and that's actually the gray one that I rolled over at Get Her Done.
Oh yeah. Let's talk about airbags.
I'm gonna be honest.
Well, you should probably take those out.
Yeah. I mean, you did go for the added safety feature.
So to be fair, anything I've ever been in, if you just break a sensor and the light kicks on, and just normally in anything like GM or something, which what I'm most familiar with, disables the system, no worries. Well, Honda is apparently not that way. You can break 4 airbag sensors, and they're like, well, these ones are still good, so clearly they still deploy. However, that's actually going to be the car I'm going to race the next couple weeks while working on the street stock.
There you go.
I kind of, it looks pretty hideous, but I've always been a big fan of that. I love it when they look like crap, but they'll go. I think it's funny.
Yeah, something about that big jack going and pushing the frame back up on the windshield there.
Yeah, so
I don't like that car.
So I used
It also doesn't like
a
me.
farm jack. I couldn't figure out how to get the roof, out, and I needed it to come out to kind of just look a little more presentable. And I
somewhat
looked
straight.
over in the corner of the garage, and there's a farm jack, and I'm like, there it is. I can make that work. So there I was with the pictures, just jacking the doorpost back out.
The picture on Facebook, I'm just sitting there. I've got so many questions.
Well, and it's funny because half of the only reason I bothered to fix that car was a lot of people said it couldn't be raced again. So that to me, that's always like, well, challenge accepted. I know my capabilities as far as fabrication and mechanic skills. So I'm like, I can make that car go again.
And you sure did.
I did. It won many trophies after the whole rollover, and it now has some plastic chicken wire looking stuff for a windshield and just to keep the rocks out of the face. But
whatever works.
Had a radiator stuck to the engine. I'm not gonna say who's that from, but
yeah, when Dom was in the Honda.
Yeah.
Scotty getting his award for loaning out the most cars that season.
Yeah.
These two guys right here got the 2 big trophies out of the season. Dom for most improved and Scotty for being the most helpful.
Yeah.
And Scotty definitely had most helpful because you, right from the beginning in 2024 when you hit Get Her Done and this poor kid showed up and not a single, sorry about the mosquitoes in the room, forgot to kill him. When Dom's out there and no teens showed up.
Yep.
And this kid, he was ready to pack his car up and go home that day. He was upset.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry, your
Oh,
car. We didn't have the Fusion
Oh,
yet.
that's right. Yeah, you had. Yep.
Didn't
That's
have my
We
right.
car
had
yet.
Mama's car, and we had my car out there, and no teen showed up. He was all upset, and I felt bad for him. And you, Steve, James, Dustin,
Vaughn.
and Vaughn, all these guys came up. Hey, we'll take him out on the track.
Yeah.
And it's like, hey, that'd be awesome. And you guys did the best justice for him that day because it. Poor Steve bouncing off his rev limiter. We'll set your pace. Poor Steve, I think he didn't get out of first gear going around that track for that few couple laps.
That wasn't my fault. He could have went by me.
But that was the thing is, what you guys did for him was you educated him on what he'd be looking into in an actual scenario.
Right. So yeah, because I mean, to be fair, the first time I ever went out on track, I didn't get any help. The first time I actually ever went out on a track was Unity Raceway when it was hot top,
Mm-hmm.
and it was in a Pro 4 of Steve's.
Yep.
And he just was like,
Go.
you know, I already knew how to drive a standard, but he was like, you know, when you get out there, I want you to run this gear, put it in that gear, and go. So in that, I mean, they were pretty fast then. I mean, they turned, I think if I recall at that time, the Pro 4s turned faster lap times than the street stocks.
Yeah.
Not than like a pro stock or anything, but I'm pretty sure they were a few tenths faster than a lot of the street stocks at the time. So, you know, I didn't get any of that. I just went out and half pooped my pants. And I mean, I had fun, but it was,
Oh, yeah.
you know, I tried to learn off listening to the car beside me because I didn't know when to let out and when to come into it. So I would just try to listen to the car beside me. He let me go out and take it out in the heat race. And luckily I didn't wreck his car or nothing.
Yeah.
I did keep it in one piece.
Just like Dom was doing, making sure he didn't, wreck the Honda too bad.
Yep.
Until it happened.
But yeah, so then after that, I think we built a dirt car and took it to Get Her Done, I think. Was when, I'm pretty sure it was Get Her Done then, but if I'm wrong, you know.
Right, someone will correct us in the
correct
comments.
that. But, you know, and then, so I raced a Nissan Maxima at that time for a while. And then I think the right front strut went through the strut tower, if I recall, and that pretty well killed that car, which was a shame because it actually went halfway decent. But,
Yeah.
Yep.
The Nissans are always a 50-50 if you're going to get that good one. Because I know there's some guys out there that have had great luck with Nissans. You got Casey Bellows.
Yep.
He runs Nissans. Shout out to Chad Mishu. There's a guy that ran a Maxima back in the day.
That
Yep.
car went.
That guy had the best luck with, as he called it, Mad Maxima.
That
Yep.
car went.
So there's definitely some potentials in Nissans.
There is.
I don't really know how Casey Bellows does it because I see a lot of them guys. You know, the Nissans. It seems like they go really good, but half of them blow up. You know, and it's like,
Yeah.
But he seems, you know, whatever. He either, you know, I don't know him that well, so I mean, whatever he does, he seems to make it work.
I know Casey had one night that he finished the race. I can't remember, Casey, if you see this, correct me. I know he was top 3 with a hole in the block.
Yep.
I know how that feeling is because one of my races before I went out, my first season in 23, when Spud lost his clutch, it took 5 guys pushing the back of my car to restart it on a red flag.
Yep.
I already knew something was wrong because the starter wouldn't even kick it over. 5 guys push. I popped the clutch and it started. I firewalled the throttle the rest of the race. It wasn't feathering the gas, it was feathering the clutch.
Yep.
I was in second gear. I sent that thing 6,000 plus RPMs. As soon as I crossed that line, I let off the gas. When I came back around,
She was
done.
done.
She didn't start till the next day
Yep.
with a tad of a knock.
And it somehow still started.
Yeah, because there was no oil in the top end. All the lower bearings were gone.
Yep.
They went into the oil pickup. So how that car started the next day was still a mystery to me. But you can't knock those Hondas. You really can't.
No, I'm a big fan, and just so everyone knows, none of my Honda stuff went anywhere. It's all right where it should be.
Oh, good.
I did some wheeling and dealing and ended up with the street stock, and I do love V8, so we're gonna play in that class and see what happens. But
Well, biggest thing I'm hoping for, because I dealt with nothing but gremlins this past year with my car.
Yep.
Because I built a motor. I had a friend help me. It was constantly having issues, trying to get it tuned and locked in. By the time I finally got locked in at the end of the year, I ended up blowing the motor again. I'm in process of building another motor. I've got time this year because we're benched to the season, whatever. But it gives me time to actually fully go through, take my time, get another motor built. I want a rematch with you against your Honda, though. My older Honda, because, you know, you were in the fast wars with me and get her done.
Yeah.
You blew my doors off. Okay, I'll give you that. I have no excuses. I tried. I ended up overheating multiple times. But I do want a rematch with you at some point.
Listen, this sounds fun. I'm down.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
We're not trying.
I mean, well, you know, and it's funny you say that because if tracks keep closing, people will go to street racing. I mean, you will see more of that. I mean, there's a lot of people that don't settle for anything besides an adrenaline rush, and a lot of people love it in a car. So, I mean, you know, which I fully understand. I've never been into drugs. Never really drank much. But as far as an adrenaline rush, I'm down for that.
Oh,
so
yeah.
yeah.
So yeah, we're gonna have a showdown at some point. So you just keep that Honda, you know, prepped and ready when I come back next year, and I have mine all built, tuned properly.
So what you're really saying is I should probably continue the Fast 4 build as well, huh? Because I do have one of those Civics.
Challenge accepted.
All right.
Challenge
Sounds
accepted.
good.
I come back next year. I know I want to be on that track with you.
I
don't care about the rest of the field. I want to straight up see who ends up with the better Civic.
the better Civic.
I like my old school Civics.
So I like the old school Civics, and actually I picked up some other Honda stuff too. I'm really looking for a late '90s Integra. Not so much at the moment, but I picked up some B20 stuff, and I'd like to input one of those in to a '90s Integra and try that out.
There's one up
Yeah.
there.
That's Spuds. You leave it alone. I'm building Spuds.
Well, is it for sale?
No, I'm still trying to put a cage in that thing. Oh, I get the most crap from everyone because I'm building a D series.
Yeah.
Everyone gives me crap for that. It's like, yeah, but here's the problem. I can get the D series stuff really cheap.
Yeah.
I can build it. There are parts to do it. That's why I keep going with it. Would I love to put a B series in my car? Oh, I would.
Yeah.
But, and honestly, for my budget, for a poor, broke race family, I'm going to go with what's cheap.
Yeah. Well, and the thing is, if you stick with something long enough, you know, and you go through a couple motors, find the weak point, spend the good money on the weak point, and then if that solves your issue, you know, you should be very competitive.
Right.
You know,
it's all about block, head, what performance parts you can put in, how you have it tuned. It's all that. And again, this is the part I'm working at. Yeah, I ended up spending $1,500 last year to build a motor. Ended up grenading at the end of the year. Okay, lesson learned. Do it all over again.
At least you have one.
Yeah, in pieces, slowly getting built. And I'm getting
Some
there.
people don't even have motors, okay?
Also true.
So I think what seemed to, well, and it's interesting because like the Civics that I run what's called an R18. They say most people say they don't really make any power. They were more of an economy motor. But what kind of kept my interest in them was the Civics that like Steve and I run. I mean, we buy them with like that one that I put together, that dark gray one. I think that has like 238,000 on it. Okay,
That ain't nothing.
and but you know, you take that and then you're out there on the track turning it, you know,
right,
$6,000 lap after lap after lap, and it just takes it. You know,
yeah.
I don't even think I did an oil change on that one.
Just top it off.
Yeah,
all
I'm
good.
pretty sure I dumped half a quart in there and just sent her on her way.
It's a Honda thing. They're fine if they got oil.
Yeah.
So
it's okay.
I did find some performance parts for it. I have picked up a Skunk 2 cam. I did travel out of state for that because they're $400 new. Found one in New Hampshire for a $100 bill, still in the box. So I traveled to New Hampshire and got that. And I've picked up a few other things. Steve sponsored me a header and a cold air intake that he had off an R18.
Mm-hmm.
So I've slowly been collecting some parts to try to build one up, and then they have a very strange cylinder head. They don't really have individual exhaust ports. It all wires into like one square.
Oh yeah.
So we're still gonna try to shave it down a little and see if we can make a little more compression without from everything I've been able to read, the
Yep.
lower ends pretty much are indestructible. You can pretty much do what you want. I have seen a guy make like 435 wheel horsepower out of one, but that had a turbo, but
Right.
still
That's a
was
big-
fairly impressive.
Yeah,
Yep.
I think that was my biggest downfall. Is I went with high compression pistons. I mean, and I went with Brian Crow or Cam. Again, the $400
Yeah,
painful
yeah.
it is.
Yeah.
I'm still hoping that that had survived when my last motor blew up because it did. I actually ended up spinning the bearing on rod one
Yep.
instead of grenading like my last motor did. I didn't exactly throw enough metal through it that I'm worried about the top end this time. So if I save that head and camshaft, I'm ahead of the game.
You should be all set with that.
The downfall was the crankshaft that I had to pay for.
Hey, yeah.
I just bought a brand new, supposedly upgraded design crankshaft. $700 later, but we're gonna see how it goes in the new motor. And instead of going high-rise pistons this time, I'm gonna have flat top.
Yeah.
I got some Nippon Racing flat tops that I'm gonna try this year.
Yep.
See if that miles it out a little bit more because I think I was pushing probably way too much high compression
Yep.
with the higher duration cam and the high-rise piston I was running.
Yeah.
That probably wasn't helping a lot of my situation.
Well, and another thing is where you're bumping up your fuel.
Yeah, I tried that too, and I'm still working.
Well, it's a learning curve.
I tried some injectors that ended up being a little too much,
Yeah.
and I did try regulating them. Again, I'm still working on that half of it.
Yep. Same. I picked up a Honda for that Civic for the Fast 4 build, and I'll be the first one to sit here and say I don't know what I'm doing. I'll figure it out kind of person. So,
Yeah, I'm still working with that in mind because I ended up throwing the stock engine back in my car.
Yep.
And put the stock PCM back in just to try and finish the season.
Yep.
I made the mistake of putting on a stock Honda intake instead of the Edelbrock that I had.
Yeah.
It was also the older style intake with the cold air ports for the cold start.
Leaned it out.
Oh, it was wicked leaned out. I couldn't figure out why the whole season.
Now you know.
Yeah, now I know. I'm like, we're never putting that intake back on again.
Changes the intake and the car runs better. Look at that.
Yeah, except the problem is that the stock motor's finally starting to let go.
Yeah. The thing is, like, they make really good power running lean. They just don't like it very long.
Yeah, well, the problem is that that motor is on its second time being in the car and being abused. I had Dom pull the oil pan off because after I hit the infield tire twice in a row at Get Her Done,
Mm-hmm.
I shifted the gasket. I had Dom pull the pan on it, change the gasket. He's like, this doesn't look right. I look in the pan and it was shiny. I'm like, we're starting to lose the bearings.
Yep.
I was on the option. If Get Her Done opens this year, either A, I'm sidelined until I get the motor built, or B, I'm just going to send what I got in there.
Right.
I was about ready to. But then I'm like,
Listen, a little Rotella 1540 should have been fine.
I don't need to be like certain
Like,
drivers that put holes in their engine blocks, and Chess Williams knows who I'm talking about. My buddy Chess Williams, he's got a record going for holes in engine blocks. He likes those viewing windows, kind of like your buddy Caden.
Yeah. The two viewing windows in the side of his block in his truck.
So you guys are sidelined for the season. That's a bummer.
It's unfortunate, but at the same time too, I'm kind of calling it a blessing because it actually gives us more time to rebuild the team right now.
Yeah, sometimes that's
because-
important.
I mean, it was a downfall last year because I wanted 2 cars at Unity and 2 at Get Her Done, which me and Spud were going to run Unity initially, but I didn't have his car built.
Yeah.
And him getting his fusion done took us longer than expected, so he was doubling up with his mother in her car.
Yep.
And, things weren't working out. I ended up bringing my car to help out Get Her Done for car counts and whatnot. So I was pulling double duty, trying to get the cars there and whatnot. And my season was already starting out horrid for us because I didn't have time to get cars in, checked out. I got his in, power steering fixed. I thank OG Motorsports and Zach Audette. They sponsored him tires because that was the only thing he needed. Bam's Tercel, perfectly ready to go. It's a Toyota.
Yep.
They never need anything.
Besides bead resale on her. One of her right front tires.
Yeah, 1 tire flat, big deal. I had 2 cars ready. It's like, all right, cool. I get mine in, find out I got metal in the motor. I'm like, okay, Well, I'm gonna rebuild another motor
Didn't-
anyway.
Didn't it take us like 3 or 4 days to build my car? And nights. Yeah.
Yeah, it was like a
Literally
week
the
before
week before
school.
school. I had school the next day, and I was up until 12 o'clock working on my car.
But I mean,
No,
I
it was
was
12. It was 12.
I mean, I was all ready to go. At least I'm like, all right, if we have two cars representing BEM Team Racing, because
Right.
I already told Steve we're going to be out there with cameras. We got a YouTube channel going,
Yeah.
and that's when Steve approached me. He's like, "Would you do a weekly shout out for the sponsors?" Absolutely.
Right.
I mean, I'm the biggest thing I was looking to focus on was a lot of the feature races.
Yep.
You know, get some clips here and there of the heat races and whatnot, but really focus on the features. Yeah, I'll 100% give a shout out to all the sponsors.
Right. Of course.
And then just a week and a half before the track opened, we get shut down.
Yeah. Yeah. It was. Yeah. I definitely. Not gonna lie. It definitely hurt my ambition. I had brought my new car build for the Fast Four class. I had brought that in. I had stripped it all out, and then I think it sat in my garage for about 2 weeks, and I barely even opened the door and to look
Yeah.
at it. I was pretty like just, and that's absolutely nothing against the other tracks. I had a rough idea who I was going to race with at Get Her Done, and I've raced with all you guys and enjoyed
Yeah.
it a lot. So that was kind of just what I had my heart set on for
And-
this year. And then, you never know what the following year would. I might have expanded back to Unity and done a little more racing at, Speedway 95.
Right.
But for this year, my focus was to just build a kick-ass Honda and take it to Get Her Done and, see what
That
I
was,
could do with it.
That was the biggest thing for us because, I mean, 4 cars and trying to get to one track. We had nothing against Unity. It was just the cost effectiveness with everything. It was going to be more affordable for us to Get Her Done,
Right.
and us, trying to help responsor getting another track up and going and whatnot. We're not against any tracks. We love Unity. It's my home track. It's the first track I ever raced at.
Yep.
I love Unity right to death. Just with the way the costs are going this year, it wasn't within our budget for our team with 4 cars to upfit for all the electronics.
Yeah.
It was out of budget for us, and we do eventually plan to go back to Unity at some point down the road. Just right now, it's not there. And then with what happened with Get Her Done this year getting closed down, we're not going to speak negatively about it. We're very upset about it, obviously, as well as a whole bunch of other people, a whole community. Unfortunately, it is what it is. It's not much we can do.
Right.
But on the lighter side of things that I look at it, it gives us time to actually go through our cars for the year and actually fix up a lot more than we need to with them.
Right. Yeah. I mean, there are some small benefits to it. But it's still just a bummer.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, but I guess at this point it is what it is, and there's not much. None of us can afford to change it as much as we'd like to, so
Right.
we have to deal with the change and just move on.
But you never know what's in the pipeline. Something could change, that something else might end up opening a new door.
Yeah.
Especially for a lot of those people that came to Get Her Done last year that loved the track.
Yeah, there was a lot of good drivers there, and the attitudes always seem to be, for the most part, pretty good. And some of the interesting things, like I was talking earlier with you about the flagpole race, something I never thought looked that appealing. I mean, kind of, but then I went out and tried it and realized how fun and just goofing off it was.
It was something different.
Yeah, exactly. Not something you see every day, and I think the occasional change like that is good.
Oh yeah, because it draws people's attention. Whether you're doing flagpole, reverse race, or full actual reverse race.
Yep.
Throw that bonus race in there. That draws people's attention. And the drivers will do any one of those races.
A good portion of them, yeah. Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Like myself, I love the backward races.
Yeah, you were doing great doing the
great.
reverse. You did better doing right-hand turns than left ones at times.
Well, and I think it was, because you borrowed my car for that, didn't you?
Yep.
Yeah, because I remember you came in for something, and I just really pushed you to just go back out there and told you I didn't care about the car. I just wanted to see what you could do with it. Because to me, it's just a car.
I could have done better if I had power steering. I feel like I did pretty good.
Yeah, you did very well. Yeah, but I was here, and actually, it's funny you mentioned that because I kind of forgot. I probably got to fix that if I'm gonna go racing.
Yeah, definitely suggestible.
Don't forget your brakes either. Don't forget your brakes either.
Well, we don't really need those.
They're optional.
I just like to be able to steer. So.
Well, we are going to be rooting for you if you're out there racing this year, and if you have any news that you want to send in from any racing this year, definitely send it in.
Yep.
And
yeah, I will try to send some stuff in. I do hope to see you guys come down and at least watch now and then.
Yeah. If we can get
you
a
know.
chance to get down there, we'll definitely be showing up to watch and cheer on a lot of the drivers. Like I said, I wish the best of luck to all the drivers at Unity this year, and hopefully it'll be a great season for everyone.
Yeah, hope so.
Yeah, if it would stop raining, because Mother Nature's got the points win right now.
Yeah, she got to get that figured out. I mean, she's been a little, hostile lately, I think. I don't know.
Just a little too much.
Yeah. 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 Something.
So yeah, hopefully the Friday nights start drying out for all you guys.
Yeah, because my weekends I keep myself pretty busy, so it's hard. Friday night isn't ideal either, but it does work. Or I can make it work a lot easier than Saturday or Sunday, because if I go elsewhere, obviously I would have to do Saturday or Sunday. I've heard some interesting things about Wiscasset. I've never been there. I thought about Steve and I thought about Steve's been there. Obviously, he's raced there. But he offered to take me down, kind of show me, walk me around, and I guess they have some pretty neat things like lifts you can rent when your car breaks and stuff. Like, I guess it's pretty nice down there. But however, it's a fairly good haul, and I'd assume to not have to make that travel just to find a place to race.
Yeah, I mean we went down there, me and Bam, with Chess Williams and James Grover to sit in and get the whole insight of what tar is, because our team doesn't know tar. We're only dirt.
Yeah.
And for one, it's very windy down there because they're close to the coast.
Yeah,
it's very windy, but I can tell you what, you want to talk about fast-paced action. It's on tar, but it gets scary for a lot of those cars. I mean,
yeah,
those guys start hitting these high speeds. Those concrete walls are not forgiving.
That's another thing I was warned about. So something I'd assume not try out.
Yeah, don't try the barriers. Definitely stay as tight as you can on those tracks. That's for sure.
Yeah.
In my opinion, I'm gonna stick to dirt. It's a lot softer.
Bless you, child.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, in the same, I would like to stick to dirt as well.
I mean, I'd tried tar at least once or twice, but no.
All we can hope for is that maybe a miracle gets pulled out and we get another track to race at.
Yeah.
It's pretty much, we got to wait and see what happens at this point.
Well, I do hope to see more open up, not just, to benefit any of us, but just in general to help, help keep racing alive in Maine. Because you go down south or out west and there's tracks everywhere. I've
Where is
So I've heard and seen kind of the same thing. Somebody was talking about dirt the other day, but then it looked like a picture was hot top. So I was very confused.
The best one you could probably ask would be Kathy. Which we're trying to line up to get Kathy on an episode, because I already told Bam, if we get ladies on the episode, you get to sit down with them.
Aha, I see where you're going with that.
We're hoping, Kathy, if you're watching this, hoping to get you on an episode when you come back to Maine. And Julie too. Julie, you've got to sit down as well. So yeah, we're hoping to get ladies of the dirt in here at some point. Have them come and sit down and talk about their racing experience and whatnot.
Yep.
Just to keep things going, because you have made the 10th episode of Off the Dirt.
Oh, nice!
Congratulations, right. You made a milestone. I didn't bring the confetti though. I'm sorry.
Where are the party poppers?
Yeah, I totally forgot to tell you. You made the big episode so far.
All right, cool.
I'm really hoping to keep this going though. I mean, it's been hard for me with finding out Get Her Done got shut down. It's been hard to be motivated to work on our cars right now.
Yeah. Yep.
And the biggest thing right now is our YouTube channel has faltered because of it.
Yeah.
We already started losing views because I got no content. That's the biggest thing. And for me, trying to get drivers in here, I've reached out to a lot of people, and it's hard for them to want to, be on camera. I think they don't have a lot to talk about or whatnot. But I'm trying to encourage drivers. I don't care if they're on dirt, tar, or whatever. If anyone wants to come on and talk racing,
Yeah.
that's what I'm here for. This is why I'm trying to say, if anyone has anything race related, they want to send in pictures to BEM Team Racing and CBC on Facebook, send it in. I'm working on putting pictures and editing because I know how to do it now.
Yep.
And send it in. I'll do off the dirt in the news.
Right.
I'll do newsfeed if it's just me sitting here, or if I have Dom sitting in with me and he wants to help me do a newscast or whatever, or a spud or bam.
Like a
Yeah.
3-minute
Yeah.
thing.
You know, anything I can do to, get other drivers' names. This is why I do this. I want a chance to sit down and talk with drivers and, talk racing, talk background, and all things like that.
Oh, it's a good way to learn a few things, especially from your veteran drivers, and
Yes.
listen to their stories, and
Especially when Steve's like, "Oh, I've been doing this since the '80s."
yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah. So the funny thing was, when I got that street stock, I said Steve does race night every Wednesday at his garage. Help just about anybody. And I said, hey, if you don't have any plans, can I bring this thing down and will you look it over with me? Because although I kind of know what I'm looking at, you're the person I look up to for this. So, will
Right.
you look it over with me and make a list? And so we did. I think our list is about this long. Way more lines on that yellow line paper than I was hoping for. But,
Yeah.
but Steve is definitely the person that I go to when I have a question and say, hey, I need some help here.
Right.
Anyone
that'll help you is always a good thing. Family, friends, anyone.
Right.
And it's the close-knit community that we've seen, whether it's Community, Get Her Done, any track. You got friends of that track that'll help you. We've watched it. This kid right here, he was running around in the pits back in 22 when Spud had the Scion. This kid was bringing tools, jack, helping everyone that was coming in from pits. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Same thing. He'd go around helping anyone.
Well, so people put on a rim
Yeah.
on a car.
Someone.
They're trying to put the wrong tire on the car.
This kid comes over. He's like, get out of here with that. He gets the right one, gets bolted up, and gets it back on the track. He already had it in him. He'll go around and help anyone, just like people have come around and helped him. It's been the same thing.
Yep. Yeah,
So,
good. And that's really what racing's all about,
There's competitiveness, but at the same time, it's
also a
friends
family.
helping friends, and it's family.
Right. Exactly.
Whether it's extended or not, it doesn't matter.
It's
We're all
all
there to do
one
the same
big
thing.
Yep. Absolutely.
So I hope again to have you on the show again later on down the road.
Yeah.
Seeing how your season goes and whatnot.
Yeah, maybe if you want to do something, maybe partway through the season, I don't have an issue coming in talking about how my season's going and what I've learned about street stock class and how
Perfect.
Probably how much money it cost me that I didn't have. And
Oh boy, let's call the accountant in.
Yeah.
No, I'd really be
Time to pull
excited
receipts.
because I know Rick Austin wants to come back again, sit down through his season. I'd love to have you back as well because I'd love to know how you guys are doing throughout.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
Any sponsors you want to give a shout out to?
Steve.
Of
He's
course.
Yeah, always. Like I said, whether it's just knowledge or, I always know I'm more than welcome to bring my car out and throw it on his lift, and if nothing else, use all his tools and stuff.
As long as you put them back.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. Actually, funny story on that, real quick. I was just a kid working on my four-wheeler and had borrowed a ratchet. And I guess at the same time, he had been looking for that ratchet, and I had it for a couple hours. Well, he finally walked over to find me working on my four-wheeler with it as I was walking back with the ratchet.
Yep.
And he didn't have a lot to say, but I could tell by the look on his face he was not very enthused. So I made sure to keep, borrow him minimal after that.
Yeah.
Also, not... I guess maybe not just a sponsor, but support-wise, my girlfriend, Kirsta, she supports me in racing. She might shake her head each time I bring home a new race car, but that's all. She'll go, okay, well, what's this one? And then we'll talk about it. My mom and her boyfriend Roland, they sponsor me often. Helped me out last year quite a bit with just a tire here or there. I broke something once and didn't have a lot of money for the parts. I think they bought me, I can't remember. I want to say a CV shaft or something and a shroud or something like that. So they helped me a lot. and just a lot of people that support me out there.
Awesome.
I do have a older guy at the garage that said he'd sponsor me $100 the other night when we were looking over my street stock. So I'm hoping to.
There you go.
I'm hoping it's not a lot, but I'm hoping to. I'm always thankful for anything. So I'm hoping to put that towards tires because as of right now, that's going to be the biggest expense. Because it's got some old hot top tires on it, and I just don't picture them going on the dirt that well.
No, not gingerly.
So we're gonna try some maybe like Cooper Cobras or something like that. So hoping they don't break the bank too bad, but I have a feeling it's gonna hurt a little bit. So.
Well, I'm sure you're gonna have a lot of people helping you along the way this season, and I mean, you're putting it out there what you're going to be building, what you're going to be racing, and I know you got a lot of good support behind you that's going to help you this year.
Yeah,
Scotty, that's when you take the angle grinder and groove them out.
Well, I mean, that thought crossed my mind, and it may not be completely out of the. That may be its first couple races, maybe on some groove hot top tires.
Just down to it.
Makes it work.
Well, and actually, I've seen a few cars out there with hot top tires out there making them work.
Yeah.
So it's not to say it can't be done.
Anything's possible.
I was just hoping to start with something a little better, but we're going to start with whatever's in the budget to get the car on the track and going around in circles, and because you can't learn anything about it if you can't make it go. So
exactly.
You
don't learn anything by it sitting in the garage.
No. It looks cool, sounds nice when I fire it up, but that's about it.
Yeah, until you get some speed going there, it don't mean nothing.
Right, exactly.
All right. Well, I want to thank you, Scotty, for coming out and talking with us today in the lounge.
Absolutely.
And I want to thank Dom for making an appearance on Off the Dirt with us today. I'm very proud of you. I know you've not been a big camera guy, but you and Scotty, you guys really. And sorry about that. The wife hit the button a little too soon. But that's fine. I'll just splice this together because it's just like the power outage when James Grover was here. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. I work on this with Xander all the time. So anyway, guys, like I said, I'm really hoping to keep Off the Dirt going. Even though we're not racing this year, I'm really hoping more drivers reach out to me this year. Again, you, Rick Austin, Barbara Austin. I know you guys will come back and we'll have more talks of racing this year, how your seasons are going.
Yeah, love to help you keep the channel going, and hopefully once you guys get back to racing, it'll really help. But until then, I'm happy to see what I can do to help keep your channel going.
Awesome. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Me and you need to do another one once I get more racing experience at some point.
Yeah, we got to stop being benched for a year.
Yeah.
Then we'll be back.
That's the only issue.
Yeah. I mean, we might show up at Unity. Maybe we'll bring a camera and do some footage at the track.
Yeah, you guys are absolutely welcome to record me anytime if you want. If you guys show up Unity and.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I'd love some good photos and stuff too. So.
I'll do what I can. Like I'm saying, I'm working with Temu cameras here, so cut me a little bit of slack.
no, I get it, but it would be cool.
Wireless mics.
Once in a while, my cousin Brian will record, and I love watching that because it kind of helps me see what I'm doing right and wrong.
Yep.
As far as going into corners and this and that, and picking a lane at the right time, and such things.
All right, guys. Well, thank you for joining us on this episode of Off the Dirt. And like I said, keep liking and subscribing on us on YouTube. You can follow us on Facebook, BEM Team Racing and CVC. And we're gonna Instagram, TikTok. Yeah, I gotta talk to cameraman on TikTok because we're kind of faltering on that one. Instagram, I'm working on, still posting. I'm still trying to get into the whole social media thing on multiple angles. But
I do think, real quick, I think if I look back far enough, I can find you a clip of my rollover. You can maybe do something with that. I don't know.
Absolutely,
if it will help
send
you.
it in.
Yes, yeah.
Send it in.
Yep.
We talked about that one. If you've got it, I will put that in a newsfeed 100%.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I can dig that up.
Perfect. Send it to me, and we're gonna showcase that one. All right, guys. Until the next episode, we'll see you then.